All right, I want to welcome you to the West Virginia Farmers Market Association peer networking meeting. We do these on a monthly basis. These are funded through FMPP grants, Farmers Market Promotional Program funding pays for these meetings, and we are happy to host them and get some really great speakers to answer questions and hit on topics that are relevant to farmers market managers, on farm stands, or just vendors themselves. Anybody kind of in the farming realm that's interested in farmers markets, we're here to talk to you. So today we have Heather King. She is from the WIC program, and she's going to go over some things that have to do with WIC for us because the program has changed and there were lots of questions last year, and she is here to talk about the program for this year and what's coming up. Heather, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. I thought I'd talk briefly. Let me turn my camera on really quick too. There we go. I figured I would talk briefly, just give everyone an explanation, a short intro of, what I am and what WIC is and all that good stuff. So like she said, my name is Heather King. I'm with the West Virginia WIC program as the Farmers Market Nutrition Program Coordinator. For those of you that may be unfamiliar with WIC, we are a USDA program that is a special supplemental program. Excuse me, I might be a little raspy this morning. My the allergies and all that good stuff has got me today. The program provides nutrition counseling, breastfeeding support, referrals to other social service agencies, doctors, dentists, and we also do food assistance. And like I said, it's only a supplemental food assistance. And we provide things like milk, juice, bread, cereal, and peanut butter. And then in the past couple of years, what we've started to doing is produce. We went from providing fresh produce to now providing canned and frozen. So our West Virginia WIC FMP program is a program that we do each year from June to October. It is typically run by a special grant given from the USDA. It is, we run along parallel with the seniors. We're not ran by the West Virginia Department of Agriculture like the seniors are. We are actually ran by the Department of Health. But from June to October, eligible WIC participants are issued farmers market benefits in addition to their regular WIC benefits. And these benefits are, of course, to be used locally in our farm stands, our farms, and they are locally grown, fresh, unprepared fruits and veggies, and also herbs. And they have to be from our state-approved WIC farmers markets. Our highlights from last year, if any of you were on last year, I know it was a crazy year. It was our learning year. And it was actually a learning year countrywide. We were one of the first, and I always tell people, the rest of the country kind of thinks we're little old podunk West Virginia, but we actually are very innovative here. We are the first to go live with quite a few things that the nation is using for WIC. We were one of the first to go live with using the EBT cards, and we were the very first to go live with a statewide electronic farmers market benefit. So 4 other states went with us last year, but we were the first to roll out, and I've got a lot of kickbacks from the other states. They tease me a lot, and they say, great, thanks for getting all the bugs out. We're first and we're the pilot. There's always going to be a whole lot of bugs. Excuse me. Excuse me. There's always going to be a whole lot of bugs with all of that, and I think we've definitely worked them out as the year went along, and we're continuing to work them out now. But our highlights for the years we had from the year was 75 farmers. We had 122 that had applied to the program and that were approved, but out of those 75 participated and redeemed benefits. So for us, that was pretty positive, considering that this was a kind of a brand new scary thing that we were journeying on. Direct deposit allowed the farmers to get paid quicker. That was one of the reasons that we went to electronic, is that banks were no longer wanting to accept our paper vouchers. We were having a horrible time trying to get the banks to cooperate and function with us. So that's where we pushed for the initiative to go electric. We got a special grant for it as well. And that also allowed for the farmers to get paid within 1 week. So most farmers that I had talked to were really happy with that 1 week turnaround. And it really depended on the bank. We would release them on Monday, and your bank would release them to you on Tuesday or Wednesday. So, and as that was a week-long thing, whether you're a participant came to you on a Wednesday or a Saturday. Even those Saturdays, you were still getting paid for what you did on Saturday. You got paid on Tuesday. So most farmers were very happy with that. And with that, what the participants spent, what our redemption rate was last year, was we had $156 million, almost $157 million spent locally in West Virginia last year in farmers market. We're hoping that will rise a little bit this year. Unfortunately, we did not get our expansion funding, which comes from, of course, comes from the federal government, and that was due to them not accepting the budget. So we're hoping that March 22nd, they'll all agree to extend the budget and do the budget for fiscal year 24, and we'll be able to get that expansion funding back, allowing us to issue more benefits, and they'll be able to spend more in your farms. As of this year, it's going to be $20 per participant, 6 months and up, 6 months to 5 years, and also for women that are pregnant, postpartum, or breastfeeding. And it's $20 flat. Each participant gets that. There's not a range depending on what their condition is, whether they're an infant, a child, or an adult. We did have some revisions this year. We have the revisions to the vendor portal, which if you were on last year, I'm sure you'll be excited about that. No one can any longer see your banking information. Last year you logged into the portal and everyone was able to see your routing and your bank account numbers of whoever had access to the portal, and they had to have access to be able to do the transaction. That no longer will happen. It now says on file. That's all it will say, is banking information on file. And if anything changes with that banking information, if you've decided it needs to go into one account from another, then you'll have to call us and we can change it for you. So once you've got into the vendor portal, put all of your information in, it just goes to on file. So none of your employees will be able to see that information any longer. The QR codes they were in little stickers last year that also tend to rub off. And then of course they're in the WIC Shopper app this year. They are continuing to be in the WIC Shopper app on their phones. Most participants like that, and it was easier for them to just carry their phones because everyone has their phones with them anyway, and then remembering to bring their card with them to the farmers market. But if they don't want to use the WIC Shopper app or they don't have access to it, then they will have a card. Right now the cards are on back order, so but the cards will have the embedded. It'll actually be printed on the card itself and still having a sticker. But like I said, they are currently on back order. But regardless of whether we get them or not, we're still going to kick off farmers market on June 1st. And with that, we're also going to be kicking off our cash value benefit on June 1st with that card, with that QR code, whether it be on the app or the card. They will be able to use we call them CVBs, cash value benefit. They will be able to use their CVBs at the local farmers markets. In the past couple of years, they've been able to use them at the grocery store for the fresh produce, frozen or canned. And now, starting June 1st, they will be able to use those in your markets. And they range. They range every month. They get a certain amount depending upon their condition. Kids age 2 to 5, I believe receive $25. Pregnant women, with multiples receive $73. So it really depends. And if it's a family of four, you could be looking at $200 a month that they can spend in your markets with just the CVB. So, and that is in addition to what they will receive in farmers market. So at that family of four, if everyone is on the WIC program, if mom's pregnant and she has 3 kids, there's $80 in farmers market. And then of course she's possibly getting $200 in CVB. So, you know, that's almost $300 she has the opportunity to spend within your market. So that is something that our participants are really excited about. They're beginning to be told now, and we're really excited about to be able to offer that benefit to you guys. Yes, there will be questions at the end. I'm sorry. I'm a more of an in-person person. These Zoom things kill me. And then I've also got a cold today, so I apologize if I'm talking fast and I'm hard to understand. But going with all of that, we will have in-person training. I know last year with all the grants and everything going on, we did not have an option for in-person training. It was short videos that were provided by Western Extension and Department of Agriculture. And they, the seniors ran one way, we ran another way. We both worked off of QR codes. They still had the paper vouchers, and we had just the QR codes. We no longer did paper. So that was a little complicated and a little confusing for everyone, and we understand. And the vendor IDs were different. So as you guys were learning, we were learning with you. We did not know that that was going to happen, that was going to function that way. And that was, of course, one of the many bugs that we ended up coming across. All that is resolved. We know now that there is two different vendor IDs. And you have first had to delete your seniors and then do your WIC. And that wasn't every time you did the difference between a senior and a WIC transaction. They've resolved that. So you won't have to delete and add continuously like you did last year. They actually resolved that at the end of the season last year. So this year should be the same way. We, like I said, going back to the trainings, we are offering in-person trainings this year. I have working with the local agency staff. We have 8 agencies in the state. WIC is broken up into 8 local agencies. And I'm working with that staff with my farmers market nutrition program liaisons. I have 1 to 2 in each agency, and I've asked them to find me locations and dates and times for in-person training. So each agency has multiple counties. So like Valley Health, for example, is one agency that is actually local to here. And I have one liaison that she does Kanawha, Boone, and Putnam counties. She's having a training within those areas. And then my other liaison has Wayne, Lincoln, and Cabell County. So she's having a training in those areas. So farmers aren't having to travel so far to do their training. And in those trainings, I'll have 2 videos. We're going to do a mock buy. And then there'll only be about a 2-hour training. The first hour will be, of course, me going into explaining everything, doing a mock buy. And I've set aside that next hour to really have any Q&A. And, if people need to do multiple buys and we need to see what's going on, that's fine too. But I have asked for them to put those dates together. They are required to get them to me by March 15th. So start looking for your RSVPs and your invitations to your counties. If you were not on last year and you would like to be invited, I'm going to put my contact information in the chat. And if you would like to be invited, just email me your information and I can get that out to you. And like I said, we do ask that you RSVP just so that we know how many that we're going to have. They are going to be in different locations. Some will be inside of WIC clinics. Some will be in community centers. I ask them just get anywhere, just to get any spot that you feel like that would be easier for your farmers. to have transportation and the time to get to. So I think that is everything that I have for the moment. Is there any questions?
Yeah, do we want to, if you have a question, you can drop it in the chat, or you can take yourself off of mute and go ahead and ask it. Fiona, if you wanted to go ahead, I know you had one. Here's Heather's contact information, her email and phone number coming through there. Oh, Fiona's trying to get off mute. I will ask my question really quick while she's trying to get off mute. You mentioned the redemption rate. Was that 156 million? And that's total for WIC in the entire state, correct?
Well, that's total for the farmers market.
Is that what was put out? Because
that's what was in the farmers market, with the farmers market program. That is what was put out. Yes, which is what was redeemed.
Or just
just in West Virginia. Just West Virginia.
Okay, so we put out the state. Well, you're federal. Put out $156 million worth of WIC farmers market benefits.
That's what was redeemed. We actually put out 534.
$534 million. Wow.
500, but what was redeemed was 156 million.
At farmers markets.
At farmers markets. Yeah. That's not with the regular WIC benefits. That's just with the farmers market benefits.
Okay. And you had 75 farmers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We had 122 apply, but some had decided not to participate due to it being electronic. One of our biggest complaints was that the banking information. So we had, I know at least a handful that I spoke to were, I mean, some didn't communicate it, and I don't know why they didn't. But some either had issues with not having Wi-Fi or not having data on their phone, and then some were not happy with the banking information being visible.
Yeah, the banking information was definitely something that we heard a lot about. Banking information.
So, and I agreed with them, and I was like, oh, because I completely understand. I was like, let me take that back to the company, because of course it's run off of a third party company that actually does the banking for us, and FIS, which is the federal program. That money doesn't come through us.
Right.
It goes to the FIS.
Okay. All right. Fiona's still trying. Does anyone else have any questions? I know that we've got quite a few people on here, and you could talk to your experience or what maybe you have questions about.
This is Crystal with the Daughters County Farmers Market, and I just had a quick question. So the farmers market benefit, when they did the rollout, they distributed those funds to participants that were within 5-mile radius of the market. Is that still the case, or was that radius expanded, or is it opened up to all participants?
No, the reason that we're not be able to, because our computer systems do not have the capabilities to be able to issue. We actually have to go in and issue to each participant by hand. So, and what we use is Crossroads. Crossroads does not have that capability. We do have a separate company working on that now to hopefully be able to provide that in 2025. But as for now, what we had, because in the past, it's always come off of first come, first serve. You went into the clinic, got your benefits, and when they ran out, they ran out. Now I'm having the liaisons create a list, a request list. And from that request list, we are prioritizing those. We're issuing for those people that have called the clinic, went into the clinic and said, hey, I want farmers market this year. And then if we still have funding left over after those people have been issued, we are going back to the 5-mile report. And unfortunately, I started a 10-mile report, then I did a 7-mile report, and then I did the 5-mile report, because like I said earlier, we did not receive our expansion funding. I asked for over $600,000 and unfortunately I did not get it. And oh, you know what? And I misspoke earlier. That's probably why you were looking at me crazy. That 156, there was another comma in there, was 156,000,
Okay.
not million.
Okay. I was like, because
Um,
we've got some millionaire farmers out there.
yeah,
How like I
I
want to.
know, and I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
But I had asked, so I was like, wait a minute. Excuse me. But yes, it was 156, and I had asked for 600, and due to the expansion funding being denied with budgets not set. But we have our fingers crossed that at the end of this month, WIC is one of the first 6 topics on the agenda for Congress right now. And we have asked for an extra $2 billion to run WIC and to keep those CVBs at the rate that they are, because they talked about decreasing those. And so we're asking for those to be keep at the same level, and we're also asking for an increase in our funding for farmers market. So our fingers are crossed, and we're also prepared to, if June 1st, if we still haven't received that funding, we'll go ahead and with the participant list. And then if we would receive it, I have those reports ready to issue off of if we would need to do a second issuance. And that's what happened last year too. In the beginning, by June 1st, I did not have all of my funding. And then in July, I ended up receiving more funding, and we issued again in July. So, and I have also asked the liaisons, because they're also in recruitment mode, so they'll be coming out to area farmers. And if you're not on the program, they're going to come ask questions to the farmers that were on the program. The farmers that were not, they're going to come talk to you, give you a little bit of information, a new application. I've rewritten the application this year that gives, because we had some issues identifying where some of the markets were, and there was some online, there was some incorrect information, because there were sometimes I was plucking information off of Facebook trying to find farmers, and there was some incorrect, so we were sending our participants to the wrong places. So right, our locals this year will actually be going out more and tracking down those farmers so that we can get our participants to the right place to be able to spend their benefits. And for the farmers that were on last year, if you made redemptions, the 75 farmers, then you are authorized for 3 years. That is how we do our grocery stores, is that your authorization lasts for 3 years. And every 3 years, you have to go through the application process again, which means you'll also have to go to an in-person training again. Now, every year, the only thing, like everybody will do an in-person this year, since we didn't have it last year. Whether you're old or new, you'll do an in-person. And then next year, for those that were on this year, they only have to do an online video. It'll have a small, like 5-question quiz. You send that off to me, you're good for the whole year. So you don't have to do in person. You won't have to do anything face-to-face, nothing virtual. You just watch a video and move on. And the video is probably like a 20-minute video. So, and then you're good again for the next year, and then no face-to-face for 3 years.
Okay, wonderful. Now, there's a question in the comments here. Are there specific requirements to become an approved vendor?
The only thing that we really look at is that it has to be West Virginia grown, or it has to be grown within 50 miles of the border. And you have to grow at least some of your produce. Because I know there was an issue there with a couple of the farmers. They were reselling for someone else. They no longer were growing their own produce. They had retired from that, but they were selling for someone else. And unfortunately, they weren't able to be on the program, because you have to be able to grow some of your own to be on the program. And that's a USDA requirement. It's not a West Virginia requirement.
Okay.
This is Crystal for the Dodge County Farmers Market again. Just a quick recap on the so a WIC participant that would like to receive their farmers market benefit. So what can we communicate to them? So what date would they want to start contact? So that I'm guessing what they're supposed to contact their WIC office.
Mhm.
I guess just a little bit of a procedure or a way we could communicate to our communities, kind of to the WIC participants, exactly how they can go about getting that redemption for the June 1.
That's something that we are also doing in our farmers market, and our clinics are doing a lot of education when it comes to appointments. Our clinics are also doing social media so that they can get the word out to the community, but they are told to give their list to me by May 15th. We can't take anyone else requesting the benefits after May 15th because that gives us an ability to be able to issue by June 1st.
So it would be something that you would request at your clinic visit.
Yes.
Okay.
Or they can call because we only see them 3 months at a time. And if they have already had their certification appointment, let's say last month, and they may not be in the clinic again for 3 more months, they can always call their clinic and say, hey, I've heard you're doing farmers market. Can I get on the list?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, Fiona, if you want to try now, I just muted you, so you can unmute now. We can't hear you.
No, she's still muted, it looks like.
Yeah, there for a second when you were off mute, we were getting a digital feedback noise off of your mic for a second.
No.
When you get it, Fiona, just start talking over me because I have a question that she may be able to answer. If I can get this little ladybug out of my space. What I was wondering is if you guys have a graphic, like you explained on here, they're going to get their $20 farmers market benefit. But then you gave a couple scenarios. A kid 0 to 5 could have $25. A mom could have 73. A family of 4 could have 200. What I would like to do, and we can work on it together, or if you already have it, is to be able to say and show our market and our members, a participant could bring, a single participant or family could bring this much money every month to your market to try to encourage more farmer participants. So if they knew, like, oh, well, they're getting $20, they could have $200 if they're a family of 4. That's $220 that could come to us every month. Maybe we could kind of, and that's one family, kind of spur more farmers to get involved if they could see that visually, like an infograph or something, like a family on WIC can bring this much to your market.
Yeah, we do actually have those. They are in development now, but unfortunately they have to go through, I have to do them, my director has to approve them, and then they have to go to communications with the state communications office. So it takes a little bit for them to get back to me.
Okay, because I was going to say I could put together one, but if it needs to go through a process, let it go through its process.
It does, unfortunately. That is one of the things that I'm in the middle of preparing for the training, for the in-person training. And like I said, those will be 2 videos. CDP is who does our electronic process, and they have actually put together 2 videos of, how a transaction runs and things like that. And they're explaining the whole process. Then he does a little bit of a mock buy, but then I also afterwards want to do a mock buy in person. But we will have handouts. We had one farm last year that I was able to go visit some of the farms last year, and I had visited one farm that has 5 different locations, and he actually had the instructions that we had sent, and he had laminated them. So I thought, well, that is a great idea. So that's something that we're looking at. Again, unfortunately, due to funding, we are not able to execute all the ideas that we thought we were going to have going into it.
Sure.
But that's something we're already looking at 25. We're already writing the annual plan for 25. So those things will be looked into. So if you ever have ideas of what your farmers need, always just shoot me an email, because even if I can't do them this year, we're already looking into the following year, and I might be able to incorporate them that year.
Okay, super. So, can you send me that information, that sheet if you get it?
Sure.
Here, that way we can do it.
Sure.
Is it okay if I say, or us as an organization say, just kind of in summary what you said? Like, could we
Sure.
make a graphic that says, hey, make sure that you sign up for WIC because an individual family on WIC could bring $220 a month to your market?
And like I said, I have a handout on that. It went for approval yesterday, actually, and it did kick back because I'd forgotten the EOP on the bottom.
Okay.
And my director wanted one or two things reworded too, and because it was a date specific. And we thought, no, we're going to take the dates off of it so we can use the handout. So that's something I'm going to do this afternoon, is go back to rewording it. I'll send it off to her. We'll send it to communications. So I'm hoping to have all these handouts ready April 1st. So that is my goal. And if I don't have something to you that first week of April, ping me.
Okay.
I'm always, sometimes I just need pinged a minute and go, hey, get me this. And then we can definitely, that way I can ping someone else and be like, they're asking for this. Because that always helps.
Absolutely. Fiona, I think you're ready to go. No. No. I thought you were. I thought I heard you for just a second.
Dakota, I see that you asked, when can WIC participants start getting on the list? March 1st. We opened it up Friday, March 1st. So I've looked into some of the clinics. I have one clinic that already has 56 people on her list. So she has been busy. Yeah, definitely get the word out. You can put it on Facebook, anything like that, saying, hey, contact your WIC office. This is starting June 1st. Social media we do utilize. We have some great graphics that were made by our National WIC Association, and the liaisons will have that, and we'll be posting to their local agency Facebooks about markets. And they also figure out which, and you can always shoot me an email if you're curious about who your liaison is or who your local agency is and what counties. Then just shoot me an email. I can get you in contact with your liaison so that you guys can collaborate and work together and get the word out in your community.
Could you send me the liaison list and then we
Sure.
can put it out? Denise can help get that word out. She can put it with kind of a recap of today's call for everybody on here and for the people that missed it.
Yeah, I'll make sure to put their counties and their agencies and their contact information.
Perfect. Fiona, it looks like she logged off and she's trying to come back. Anybody else have any questions? We've had a really great discussion so far.
I have a quick question.
Sure, go ahead.
You mentioned that you do quite a bit of stuff on social media, sending stuff out. I'm sure the answer is probably yes, but just to make sure, it would be no problem for a farm stand, individual farm, whatever it is, to follow that page and share that information, share those graphics and stuff like that that are already pre-made to sort of help get the word out.
Yeah, that would be great. Each local agency was required to have a Facebook. So I'll also put the Facebook information. When I send out the liaison list, I'll also put a Facebook list of what they're, because some of them are named differently, like Valley Health is Valley Health WIC, but we also run out of some health departments, so they all have their own different names. But I will make sure to put all that information in the list too.
One follow-up question to that: do the participants in WIC, do they always receive their benefits on like they receive these weekly, if I understood you correctly? Do they receive these the same day of the week, or are they received monthly, and are they received the same day of the month?
Their regular WIC benefits are received monthly on the same day of the month. And it always depends upon when they came on the program. Like one participant may have come to the program on March 1st. So her benefits are going to run from March 1st to
Whatever the last day of the month.
actually March 31st. It's a 29-day. I
Right.
had to remember I haven't worked clinic in a couple years, but and it's a 29 days rotation. So, but the next person may have not come on until March 5th.
Mhm.
So hers are going to run from March 5th to April 4th.
So then it would, because most farmers markets run weekly, some obviously bi-weekly or monthly. It would be a good idea maybe to share that information once early in the week and then maybe the night before so that people can say, oh, that's right, we can use our WIC benefits kind of thing.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
then, like I said, the normal one. So the CVB is what you're looking at as something year round. They will be able to do monthly. Now, farmers market is only a one-time allotment. June 1st, they get their entire amount that they're allowed to use until October 1st. Like I said, if it's a family of 4 that's on the program, they're going to get $80 June 1st, and they have till October 31st to spend that $80. But the CVB is an addition to that, but and that's something that will run continuously every month. So if you are at a year-round market, then December, if you have, produce available, then they are allowed to spend it then.
Super, great questions. It looks like Taylor's dropped a question here in the chat. Hey, super new to all this, so please bear with me. Just for clarification, WIC participants who request farmers market benefits can receive and use them for a market within a 5-mile radius. And what was the deadline for them? I believe the deadline was April 15th?
May
15th. There we go. It's May 15th. We've got some time.
Yeah, they gave me 2 weeks to be able to get that report done and get everybody issued. But the 5-mile is only going to be used this year. 5-mile is what was used last year. But which my personally, it wasn't our decision to do that.
Can you take a time out? Taylor is just starting a market. So she doesn't know what happened last year and why the 5 miles was in the program to begin with. So if you could kind of back us up to where the 5 miles came from and if we need to worry about it.
Actually, I worked local clinic for 14 years, and then I have been here at the state office for 2 years. I actually didn't come into the program until April 1st of last year. So a lot of those things were determined with the prior coordinator determined those. So I'm not sure where that came from. I just know I was kind of left to execute what had already been determined. So, and so I kind of came in a rainstorm, well, a hurricane, I think. I was trying to figure out my job while trying to figure out how to tell everyone else how to do the job. So it was, like I said, I think we were all in a hurricane together. It was definitely a learning year for everyone. CVP, of course, where we were the first to do. They were in a learning year with the electronic process. So were we, so were you guys. So I think it was just the perfect storm last year. Considering that, though, we've seen it as a pretty successful year. We were very excited because we know farmers were having a lot of issues. I know the 2 years prior to us going electronic, there was 3 farmers that actually had to wait 7 months for payment. So we don't want that to happen. And that was the greatest thing about electronic, because just as much as we care about our participants, we do care about our farmers too. I mean, this is a great program. And it was like 7 months is ridiculous. And it was because we kept fighting the bank. The bank didn't want, I know with one, because he actually explained it to me last year. I ended up talking to him because he was asking about the electronic, and he was explaining to me that he was fighting his own bank because they did not want to process the paper voucher. So it's been a mess, and that's one reason we really pushed to go electronic. But with that, it was a perfect storm. We're getting things, we're getting bugs worked out. And granted, this is only our sophomore year into it. So, and I'm pretty an open book. You can tell I'm not much of a presenter. I'm more of a conversationalist. I would much rather have a conversation. So if someone has questions, you have my information, call me. I'll be glad to talk to you. I'll be glad to have correspondence with email with you, because that's how I feel like we all learn together. There might be bugs out there or opportunities or needs that you guys have that I have no idea about. I've never been a farmer. Only thing I've done is shopped at a farmer's market. So I'm not really familiar with your needs. So always just tell me, say, hey, this is what I have going on. And I definitely understand that the demographic throughout our state. I have children that have went to college and moved away and are now still in those areas. I have a daughter that is now in the southern part of the state. I have a daughter that is in the eastern panhandle, and my son went to Morgantown, so he was in the northern part of the state. All three of those, I've of course visited those locations a lot, and my daughters are now married and living in those locations. The demographic is very different. What my eastern panhandle farmers and participants need is definitely not what my southern farmers and participants need. So always just yell at me. So
back to this 5 mile thing. I think where the question's rounding out is do they have to use it at a specific farmer's market?
it has to be a WIC approved farmers market. But no, let's say they live in Harrison County. No, they can come down to Kanawha County or vice versa. And that's the same with WIC benefits. Just because you live in Charleston, that's where I am. And but let's say I was a WIC participant and I live in Charleston, but my daughter lives in Martinsburg. I can go to Martinsburg and spend my benefits.
Okay,
So
great.
just as long as it's within West Virginia and it's a WIC approved market, yeah, we don't care where you spend it.
Okay, perfect, wonderful. Of course,
Our
I
grocery
encourage
stores are the
everybody.
same way.
Yeah, I
Yep.
encourage everybody on here to sign up and use try to get farmers at your market to sign up, because there was $156,000 out there that got split between 75 farmers.
And technically we had 534,000 that could
Yeah.
have been spent.
That could have been
So
spent, yeah. So really a quarter got spent. And that worked out to about 2,000 per farmer. So if they don't think that it's worth it. The money is there. And it's our jobs to get the participants there. And it sounds like everybody, Baxter's question about sharing stuff, now that we know and we have the resource in you, we can get the word out as well. And try to get more people to use up that money, because it only helps our farmers.
mm-hmm. And last year too, we had a couple of farmers do co-ops with their liaisons. We had 2 different ways that they did this co-op. So definitely reach out to your liaisons. One of their assignments this year is to host a farmers market at the clinic. So they want a farmer to come set up in their educational rooms or in their parking lots and sell their produce right there at the clinic. So as the participants are walking out with their benefits, you're right there.
Yeah.
Another thing that they did last year is one of the outreach assignments for them were to host a fair or go to a fair. So we had a couple of liaisons that were going to like health fairs. And at those health fairs, we had purchased produce from 2 local farmers in their area. And each time they had purchased produce, it was $1,000. So we had one farmer that he provided produce for 3 different events, and that was $3,000 right there off the spot for him. So that is something that we want to look into the future too, is doing more of those events. And, anytime that you have the ability to co-op with us, we can get a little more money in your pockets.
Hey, I have a question. This is Katie Saunders at Honeydew Produce. This would be our first year participating if we're an approved vendor. The 50-mile rule with our market, some of it we grow on our farm. Some of it we buy from other local farmers, like our corn. We cannot grow corn right here. And we buy it, it's literally 7 miles up the road. So
Okay.
that's okay to use with the WIC vouchers?
Yep.
Okay, so now like our peaches, we don't have anybody around here that grows peaches very close. So they're coming out of the northern part of the state. That's not within the 50-mile radius. So we just couldn't sell the peaches as a WIC.
Are the peaches grown in West Virginia though?
Yes.
Oh, that's fine then. It just
Oh.
has to be grown with, it can be grown anywhere inside of West Virginia. It doesn't matter how far it is from your farm. It just matters that it's grown inside of West Virginia or 50 miles from its border. Like I know in our Mid-Ohio Valley agency, Witten's is one of their biggest farmers markets. They have 5 different locations, but the farm itself, where they are actually growing, is right over the border. It's not in West Virginia at all. It's in Ohio.
Okay. Okay.
And because I think they're like 10 miles from the border. So because they are within that 50 miles, they are able to come into West Virginia and sell to WIC participants.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood how that worked. Thank
It's
you.
confusing. There's a lot of red tape, unfortunately.
Yes, in my experience, the whole thing that the USDA puts about those distances is being able to trace back for food safety. So, for
Right.
example, if you were buying corn from them and then, God forbid, you ended up, they trace back a E. coli back to you, you would have to be able to provide documentation on where that corn came from. Obviously, you don't have the laboratory wherewithal to check all of that corn, but it's on the onus of the original farmer, and it's about chain of food safety.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, we pay attention to that anyways. We have to know where everything comes from, but that does make sense.
Wonderful, wonderful conversation. I just let Fiona back in after locking her out for at least 10 minutes. So Fiona, let's hope that you get your question off, and then I'll come back to Taylor's question. Maybe. I see you, Fiona, somewhere. There you are. But I cannot hear you.
No. Fiona, if you have questions and unable to, oh, it says connecting.
It does say connecting to audio now. I'll read Taylor's question. Does the market as a whole need to be WIC approved, or does each individual vendor? This is for a brand new market.
Each individual vendor, say you're a market manager, the market manager also can be approved if this was sticky last year too, is we had some market managers that were able to do transactions because one of her vendors could not do electronic. They didn't have the capabilities. And fortunately, we're working on it though. That meant that market manager was also going to have to do the 1099, and it was going to go into their taxes like it was their produce and they got the profit off of it. The one thing that we did recommend, and it was because I had spoke to another market manager in the eastern part of the state, and she says, well, I always charge a fee. She said, that's not going to be no big deal for me if it shows up as on my tax papers. As she said, I charge them a fee to sell their produce anyway. And she said, so that ended up working for her. And so when I spoke to other market managers that had questions about it, that was the one thing that I suggested. I said, potentially, charge them for being your kind of your paymaster, to take on your produce. So that was always an option. But the CDP, the company, is working on getting that separated. It hasn't been foolproof yet, but having another way to, whether the market manager can use their vendor ID and not her own. So we're working on getting that resolved.
Okay, I've got a question off of that. So at our market, we are our own grower, and then we are, we buy from other farmers. So we are the only vendor. So like if I bought the corn from the guy up the road, I sell it as me being the vendor, or he would have to be the vendor?
You.
are.
Me. Okay. I just want to make
Yep.
sure.
Yep. Now, if he wants to, sell his own produce as well, he would be his own vendor. But because you're selling your produce, so once you buy that produce from him, that's considered your produce now.
It's okay. That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure there wasn't some huge loophole that I was getting ready to get into.
I understand. That's a good question.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, while I get the chance, I just want to jump on here and ask if it would be okay if I reach out and just schedule some type of appointment to speak with you about
Sure.
kind of more basic things. I don't want to take up a bunch. I realize that a lot of people in here have already been doing this for a while, and I don't really want to take up a lot of your guys' time asking more basic and startup questions. So would that be okay if I email you and kind of get an appointment?
That would be great. Yep.
Backtrack. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This
And
is
I would
Katie
be happy
again.
to help out with that too, Taylor. Because I would I would almost like to hear it, you explain it to new people so I can explain it to new people when they come. Because me and Taylor have been working together, trying to get everything set up for her. And that would just make me more knowledgeable. So if we could do the same thing, or you could include me with her, that would be super.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Also, with the in-person training too, that's something that we're also hoping. It depends on where the liaisons were able to get access to, like some community centers don't have Wi-Fi, things like that. But with the in-person, if you're not able to make the in-person training for your region, for your area, then I'm hoping to also get it live, get it virtual as well.
Wonderful.
So a lot of these things are going to be discussed, but much more in detail. And what we're talking about now will be a little more detailed. I'll have a PowerPoint and all the pretty stuff.
So we have had absolutely fantastic conversation today. Did anybody else have anything as we're rounding out the hour here?
Just real
Can you
quick,
hear me yet?
Yeah, go ahead, Taylor.
just real quick, is there a tentative date for those scheduled trainings that we can kind of like give a heads up, like, hey, if you want to be a part of our market, this training is available for WIC around about this date?
March 15th is their deadline to have those dates into me. I do have 2 agencies that have already turned them into me though. So it depends. Let me pull up my calendar really quick.
Okay, that's where I got March 15th. I kept hearing it and I'm thinking, is that the deadline that people, that's only in a couple of days. I need to start telling people to get hold of their WIC office.
No, you have until May 15th to apply, and March 15th, the liaisons, that's their deadline to tell me where they're having theirs. But all the trainings will be in April. And that was actually another liaison that brought that to my attention, because at first we were like, oh, it'll be in May, so it will be fresh in everyone's head come June 1st. And then my Wheeling, Ohio liaison, she said, hey, markets typically start selling May 1st. And she said, they're not going to have time to attend training. And I was like, great idea. So we pushed it back April 1st. Probably within the coming years, it'll be pushed back February, March, because we know you guys are even really busy in April. So that'll be, because our first thought was, oh, it's fresh in everybody's head. So when June 1st hits, but then it was like, then she brought that up and I was like, oh no. But for those that live in Mineral and Hampshire County, the training will be March 8th at 2:00. The farmers that live in Berkeley and Jefferson County will be on April 9th. Did I say March 8th? April 8th. I apologize. April 8th is Mineral and Hampshire. April 9th is Berkeley and Jefferson, and that's at 10 a.m.
Can you hear me?
Yay, Fiona's here.
While I have the microphone, in Jefferson and Berkeley, do you know where it's going to be?
It is, let me go back.
Fruit Research Station or Extension?
Jefferson, Berkeley. It's going to be at the Martinsburg Clinic.
Okay. And while my mic is still open, unless it's already been answered, in which case just tell me and I'll go back and watch the recording. But the in-person, are WIC clients invited too, or is this just for vendors and market managers and people processing the vouchers? It's not the recipients?
No, it's not the recipients.
Okay.
They actually get training in clinic.
Okay.
So
All right.
they have their own handouts, and they get there because they have to go in for nutrition counseling, and it's
Okay.
going to be a part of their nutrition counseling.
Okay. And then if I may ask one other question, I know it's 10:56 and Holly's trying to cut this. For the cash value benefits, and again, if it's already been answered, just tell me. In order for them to redeem those at farmers markets, is that a different QR code and a different app? So they'll have to log out of WIC Shopper and log back in?
Good
or
question.
two different
Nope,
QR codes? Yeah.
Nope, it's going to be the same QR code. Their farmers market benefit will come off first.
Okay.
So if they still have that farmers market, that's going to be subtracted. And then let's say they spend the whole 80 but there's $10 more left over. Then that's when their CVB will kick in.
Okay. So all that's just automatic. We don't have to do, people in the portals don't have to. Okay.
We got that right.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
That's the one thing I think we got right.
Oh, you guys are doing a great job.
I still have my fingers and toes crossed.
I think, and I don't know who else might share this sentiment, and I shared this with you at the farmers conference, but people were so patient. I mean, the vendor, everybody, as long as you stood there with the recipient and worked through it with them and stood with them, and it's going to be okay. We're going to get it. It was fine on my end. Everybody here, it was fine.
Absolutely appreciated that, because we knew it was rough, because we were getting the influx of calls from you guys and them. And it was, there were days I cried with a participant and a farmer one time. And I had one farmer, she kept apologizing. I'm like, I ain't quit apologizing. You're teaching me all kinds of stuff. And because she would call me 2 times a day, every day for about 2 weeks. And I was like, guess what? I said, we learned awful lot. And I said, I'm able to go tell farmers, the other farmers across the state, everything that you taught me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a great collaboration, and it takes us all to be able to get it to function correctly.
Fiona, I'm so glad that you were able to get your mic to work.
I don't know what was happening, you guys. I've never had that problem with Zoom before. So I apologize. I'm sorry I missed the convo, so I'll go back and watch it.
Yeah, no, this has definitely been a lot of great conversation today. We've had a lot of information, a lot of conversation, and a lot of follow-up that's going to be done with Heather and the program. Before I close it, I'm going to offer one more time. Heather did drop her information in the chat, and we have it as well. So when we kind of send out the Zoom link, if you wanted to review this and maybe review this with some of your farmers, we'll include her information there, so you can contact her as well. And I look forward to getting some of those graphics to get those out, because sometimes a picture tells, is worth 1,000 words. And that really is. If people could see, just the 156,000 and it was split by 75, farmers, like there's a piece there for everybody. We just got to get more people signed up. And we can help with the signups of participants. We can help with the signups of farmers to really support this program. And thank you, Heather, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the fantastic information and the work that you do. And thank you for everybody being on here with the great questions. And I hope that we were a good crowd, Heather. We didn't want to beat you up. We just
great questions.
Great questions.
No, it was great questions. I loved being able to connect and knowing everything. Like I said, I'm pretty clueless sitting up here, so it's really input from you guys that is how I learn and how we get the best going out of here for the participants and the farmers.
Thank you very much.
Holly and Denise, I have a quick question for you. If you can stay on for just like 2 minutes.
Yep, we certainly
Sure.
can. I will go ahead and end this recording now. Thank you all for being here.